fitting. How fitting that is. From Movie Reviews and More, it is Halloween. I'm Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. We are live. We have Ann McDaniels just popped in.
From the horror starlets.
And we have Ned Ehrbar who just popped in. Ehrbar. Sorry, Ned.
It's all right.
And from MovieSharkDoublure.com, Lynn Elias Entertainment.
And everywhere else under the sun.
Debbie Lynn Elias.
Hey, Bri.
Hello, everybody. It's Halloween. So you're wearing Evil Dead.
Yes.
And Ann's dressed as a biker.
Well, no, I'm representing the horror starlets.
A horny biker.
Starlets.
Yeah, horny biker. And I'm not dressed as anything.
We're getting to the horny part later in the show.
Yeah. we got a lot of people calling. Well, we got 2 people calling in. Finally, Dunkin' Donuts. And Oren Koulis from Saw.
Woohoo.
But before we get to all that, Debbie, take it away. What's going on this week?
Well, we've got some really fun new releases this week, and I don't know which one I love more, Horns or Nightcrawler. But I'm going to start with Horns because it has the wonderful Daniel Radcliffe in it. It's based on Joe Hill's book. It is about a boy or a young man now. It's very hard to think of Daniel not as a boy anymore. But he goes back, he just can't seem to get away from snakes, I'll tell you. You know, that parcel-tongued little devil that he is, he's speaking with snakes again in the movie Horns. He is a boy that is madly in love. Juno Temple is the object of his affection. And it starts off as a murder mystery whodunit. It's a nice genre-bending meld of the battle of good versus evil with fantasy, romance, and wash murder mystery. And his character, a poor guy named Ig Perish. Of course, anybody named Ig might be perishing, I'm not sure. But he wakes up one day and his beloved Marin is dead and he's accused of murdering her. In the process of trying to claim his innocence, goes on drunken benders and wakes up and finds horns growing out of his head. It's filled with great allegory, biblical allegory. The use of red is fantastic. You've got from Adam and Eve to serpents to pitchforks. It's a macabre delight of hilarity. It's great. And I just had a chance to talk to Daniel at a small press conference the other day about the film. And here's what he had to say about still talking with snakes.
First of all, guys, this is an amazing film. It is delicious. It is delightful.
The check's in the mail.
And you little parcel-tongued devil, you.
Thank you.
What is it about the allegory that Joe created in the novel that was then translated into the script that let you come back into the serpentine world of with a little biblical flair?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I suppose because Joe's world in and of itself is so striking and real and exciting that there was never a moment where I was thinking, and of course I think because Potter was such a part of my life, I never think of the comparisons that other people might make or the similarities that might be drawn. But yeah, I mean, the thing that attracted me to it was just the fact that it was so bold and so heartbreaking and beautiful, and the story and this guy's journey was something that I really connected to, and I feel like the allegory of turning into what you are perceived as, or feeling like an outsider, or being made to feel like an outsider, is very strong and something that I and hopefully a lot of people can connect to. And yeah, there was just, as you said, such delight in bringing from style to genre, and it was so witty at the same time as being so dark, and the love story obviously is so poignant that there was so much going on that it was exciting.
The film's directed by Alex Asia, and I don't know if you, Ned, if you had a chance to talk to Alex last year for Maniac. He did the rewrite for last year's version that Frank Calhoun directed.
Right.
And he just has this great grasp on really pushing that edge with everything. And so I think that him working with Joe Hill's material that was adapted, it's just a marriage made in heaven. And then you bring in Frederick Elms as your cinematographer, who just makes the most of the lighting and the production design. And he goes and he makes and helps celebrate those magical angelic qualities that Juno Temple already has. And I had a chance to talk to Juno about differentiating, because earlier this year she mesmerized everybody as the adorable little Thistlewit fairy in Maleficent, and here she brings that same kind of fairy-like elfin angelic quality to Marin. So I got to ask her about that.
2 holy movies, yeah.
Goes with Dirty Girl.
I remember when my mom found out that was the title of one of my movies, she was like, "Baby, I'll send you money if you do this." I think it's so about what's on the page. You know, I think with something like Maleficent, what was so exciting about it is there was so much humour in playing Thistlewit. There was, and also Imelda Staunton and Leslie Manville. If you've ever spoken with them, you are in tears with laughter. They're two of the funniest women I've ever met. And I think with Marin, what was so magical about her for me, and what I really thought about, is the idea that you are a memory for the entire film. And when you think about how precious your memories are, you're taking a train ride somewhere from A to B, you can sit and amuse yourself for the whole train ride just thinking about things that you remember, things that make you happy, things that make you sad, excited. And so I thought that was a really, really beautiful thing to get to play, especially when you're seeing it through the eyes of your true love. And then also there are so many layers to Marin. There are so many things that aren't being said, which I think when you get to play a part that has that many layers going on, it's an absolute treasure, because you can be thinking so many different things within a scene that aren't being said. It gives you so much to work with a character. And I think, with being ethereal, that's also all down to a DP and a director to like you the right way.
But Juno she's so enamored with the script and the story, and clearly had so much fun talking about it. And she went back and addressed again how excellent the script was.
I think, it's about on the page, really, about how you bring the character to life. I definitely think you have to approach each character by letting go of the one that you've already done. It's important to switch off from that and move on to the next one, even though you shouldn't forget them ever.
Now, Horns is it's a phenomenal film. It is so much fun. It is delicious. And Daniel Radcliffe has decided he really does love working with snakes, and at any given point he had over 100 snakes surrounding him, including one very large python that for a good portion of the film is wrapped around his neck. And yes, they are all real. So, if you don't like snakes, don't see Horns. But
I like snakes.
Too, they're fascinating.
But it's just a fantastic movie, and it is fun. Another great movie for Halloween that Ned has seen.
Yes.
And I think likes.
I love this movie.
Nightcrawler.
Yes, Nightcrawler is a absolutely bonkers, crazy look at a very real world in local news coverage of freelance videographers who go out and sort of ambulance chasers who have a police band radio and show up to try to be there before the cops to get footage of accidents, car crashes, fires, and then sell them to local news stations if you watch the news in the morning, it's very much a lot of times it seems to be like the entire reason they're telling you about this story is because they have a video of it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's
especially the car chases. That's the most fun to watch.
But it doesn't mean it's the most important story. So it follows Lewis Bloom, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, I get 30 pounds less of Jake Gyllenhaal, I think.
Yeah.
But what he lost in weight, he more than makes up for in gravitas and intensity. He's like a little bit Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man, with some Bobby De Niro, King of Comedy. And he scares you to death as you're watching him in this film.
Totally calculating sociopath. It's a really fascinating character study. And you're watching him do terrible things and sort of figure out exactly how to do these things and get ahead. But the movie miraculously doesn't have any sort of position of judgment on any of the characters involved. It's a very sort of very fair just it presents you with the story, and it's up to you as a viewer to decide.
What is Rene Russo's character? Is she the boss?
She's the news director of the local station that sort of becomes his main.
Is she corrupt or is she a good girl?
Desperate, I think.
Okay.
Desperate, and that's actually a word that Renee used when I interviewed her, and we're going to have a clip of that in a second. But let me just set it up with her character, Nina Romina. The first thing I thought of when I saw the film, I hearkened right back to her character Chase Renzi, who was in the movie Showtime some years back as a news producer, and she and I talked after when nobody was around about this, because I come out of a news background in the 70s, so I've got a really interesting perspective, and she and I really were picking out the minutia of of what happens, and she agreed. The go-getter Chase Renzi, this is Nina Romina is now her at the end of her career, and she's just fighting, using her fingernails to try and hang on and do whatever she can. Of course, and you have to remember,
almost like Christina Applegate's character in Anchorman, like that kind of.
I think even more
proving herself as a woman in the 70s.
No, more desperation. This is a woman who has everything to lose. She's already at the bottom-rated station.
Okay.
And when you're at the bottom-rated station, they don't give you much time or latitude anymore. But no, Renee, this is one of the best things I think we've seen her in a long time. And and the fact that it's written and directed by her husband Dan Gilroy.
There's your answer.
Absolutely.
Well, it took a lot of convincing. And Brian's got a clip of Renee talking about the character and coming into this. Are we playing Jake or Renee first?
I had Jake queued up, but I can do Renee.
Do Renee.
Yeah, it was just such a very cool role to play, and I, it's something I never played. And actually, to be honest with you, it was really hard for me to get a handle on her, because I did not know who this woman was, only because. Look, I have crossed some major moral boundaries in my life, but just in terms of like being just a bitch and getting where I wanted to go for, just because I'm that way, I'm not that person. So I thought, and I can only play something from my own life experience, but you know what? Finally, I said to Danny, I said, this girl needs work. The girl needs work. And he's just like, and the truth is that he did not change one word. It's just that I sort of finally found a way to bring her to life, and that is through desperation. I know for me, if I ever cross a moral boundary, it's usually because I'm scared to death. It's usually because, oh my God, it's just total fear. And I think in a lot of ways, like, look, if I knew I was going to lose my health insurance, and I'm so lucky that I have it, I'm 60 years old, I'm at the lowest rated station, like you said, I'm alone, I could lose wherever it is that I live, and maybe be shipped off to who knows. What would I do? I didn't really want to judge her for that necessarily.
Which is exactly what Ned.
Yes, well, it's sort of the key to the character is that she's said it's the lowest rated station. They need ratings, and sensation is a very quick and easy way to do that. And here's this guy who is, because of his sort of, I'd say, sociopathic nature, is better than anyone else at going out and getting like this footage. And it's a very dark but very funny and very interesting movie.
And people look forward to seeing that this weekend too.
Oh my God! One of the things that a lot of professionals can appreciate too is the minutia and the attention to detail that Dan put into the script. I mean, he goes down to, and there is dialogue in there about FCC fines, ethics, journalistic responsibility, yellow journalism, sensationalism. It is all in there in a very cohesive and entertaining yet interesting and factually correct manner. Just brilliantly done. And part of the brilliance of this film also goes to Robert Elswit, cinematographer. Is this not one of the most beautiful films that, as a director yourself, Ned?
Oh yeah, you get jealous watching movies like this because it just every frame, every camera movement looks amazing. This happens very rarely. I was in a press screening for this, and there's a massive car chase in the climax of the film. that was fantastic. That actually got
which is an actual chase. It's not CGI.
Real cars.
This is a real,
and very well done. It actually got a round of applause from the press, like in a screening, which rarely happens.
That does rarely happen.
It was just so at the end of it was just a spontaneous moment of appreciation for like, wow, look what they did.
Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Can I interject a quick question?
No.
I'm actually in the movie. I play the weather girl, so I have a whole day. I had a whole day on a green screen. Did that make the cutting room floor? I'm sure.
No, there's a weather girl.
Did you show
in
a blonde
there.
weather girl?
Yeah.
Oh, that was me.
Heaven help us.
No, I probably have a picture of it on my phone. Thank you. And it's so funny because people have been asking me to interview, and I'm like, I didn't even work with. They're like, oh, what was it like to work with Jake Gyllenhaal? And it's like, as actors, we know. I don't even think he was on the same movie that day. You know, I shot at CBS Radford in I think it was not KTLA, but a different station, and I learned all the green screen weather effects. It was really fun, and I got to improv the whole day. I was on a mic, but got to improv. So
nice.
But so it did make the cutting floor. It's actually
there is a weather girl clip.
Yay!
In there. Well,
Okay, good.
It's in the background where Jake is trying to convince her to hire him.
Good. So yay!
Good for you. I thought it was the case.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. This is Movie Reviews and More.
We'll hear from Jake Gyllenhaal and a little something else from Rene Russo.
And then we have Oren on the line, too. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. This is Movie Reviews and More live. It's Halloween Friday. It's one of those strange days that people like to go out and have fun. Don't they, Debbie? Don't they, Ann? Ed knows because he's the director. And on the line, Oren Hulis. Are you there? Oren, are you there?
Yes. Hold on. Let me add him.
For these people who don't know, this is Saw. This is the 10th anniversary of Saw, the most successful horror franchise in movie cinema history. And that's a great thing.
It is.
And you love horror.
I do.
And
that's very psychopathic, too. It actually takes a brain to figure Saw out. It's not just a no-brainer, PG-13 rated movie. You gotta think.
Yeah. Oren, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oren, how was last night for you?
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
What happened? Tell the audience what happened. You had a live streaming in how many cities last night of the re-release of Saw?
We had simulcast with us. We were in about 6 ArcLight theaters, but I think we were in about 1,200 theaters altogether last night just to start, and then we did a really cool kind of Q&A after that that was simulcast around the country.
What do the audience think?
They liked it. The neat thing for us is that when we originally did it was in film. So to re-digitize it and to mix it and have some fun with it, it was pretty neat. It was the first time we'd seen I don't want to say new version, but it was a little bit different, slightly color corrected in sound.
Now, you told a funny story a couple weeks back of James, how he had the short film of this, and you suggested that he direct that. Tell the audience that story about that and where he was.
Well, James actually told it very eloquently last night. But a long version is they came out here and James and Lee had written this kind of as their post film school project, and they were trying to figure out how they could raise a little bit of money and go do it. And they bounced around a bunch of different ideas, and 2 guys in a room with a dead guy in between them was the idea they stuck with, and they wrote a script and shot a little 7-minute short as their calling card, and it went around. But everyone they met with us as the first meeting. We offered to James to direct and Lee to star in it, and they were like, yeah, they didn't even believe us. They went around to a couple of meetings, and people offered them to just put the script in development, and they came back to us and said, no, if you guys are serious, let's go make the film, and we started shooting 6 weeks later.
And with that, the result. Now, you talked about going out there, and you got a call from, was it Jeff Blake over at Sony at the time, when they were releasing The Grudge?
What happened is Lionsgate, this is 10 years ago now, and they didn't really have anything to lay it up against as far as comps, as far as theaters, and so they had someone that worked at Lionsgate that thought we were going to do 6 to 8 for the weekend, and which was a little disappointing because we'd had 3 midnight showings at Sundance, all sold out. We had a lot of hype through the summer, and then we closed the Toronto Film Festival in September, and we thought we had a pretty good buzz. And when 6 to 8, even though it was $1 million movie, was still a great success. We were a little disappointed. We thought we were going to do like 10 to 12, and then Jeff Blake called us and said, "I think you guys are going to be around 18," and it was a pretty shocking call.
Well, yeah. I want to know, Oren, what do you think, in your opinion, because this is such a successful franchise, what is it about Saw that people connect to, that they relate to, that they just can't get enough of it?
I think it's a couple things. I think one of the things is it really bothers us when people start talking about torture porn, because ours, we really tried to make, especially with Saw 1, maybe a lower budget version of 7. And we tried to make it, we weren't thinking this is going to be some blood and guts horror movie. This was more of a thinking person and, a situation if you and your best friend were tied to a wall and only one of you could leave, what would you do? And, we really tried to make it a lot of thinking. And I think that's one of the reasons it's been successful. For 7 movies, we've had the same teams together. Same music guy, same editor, same composer, same all the way through. We've been very consistent, and we've tried to listen to what people say in between movies and just try to give them what they want. We didn't try to make any big left turns.
Oren, when you got into the business, what were some of the movies that you liked? What got you in? Because, Twisted Pictures didn't come out of any place.
It's such a weird movie, and people always say the usual movies. And the movie that got me, I think, and maybe I was homesick at the time, but I was in Spokane, Washington playing minor league hockey, and I saw the movie Thief, James Caan, Michael Mann's movie. And if you're from Chicago, it's a real Chicago movie. It's not the typical Hancock, it's not there's the 4 or 5 set pieces that everybody always uses when they shoot a movie in Chicago. It wasn't that. It was very gritty, and it was very Chicago. And I think maybe being homesick and just the way, everything he did about that movie made me think, wow, I want to tell a story like that someday.
What else did you like? What was it that made you want to be a producer?
I really think Thief. From the moment Thief was on, the moment I saw Thief, I saw it in the theater. I probably saw it 2 more times, and I started really getting interested in film. And I was living in Chicago and working in Chicago after my hockey career. I always had an eye out for Hollywood, and I was lucky enough before he passed away to meet the infamous Don Simpson and became really good friends with him. And just the way he looked at story and the way he looked at opening a movie and the way he looked at stars was a little bit different, and people who don't, if you look at his track record with Beverly Hills Cop and all, Top Gun, that they created, Don and Jerry created some amazing, just different ways that the movies were sold, too, to the public.
Oren, would you ever want to do a high-action hockey movie?
No. I would, I would love to do a sports movie, but I think, unfortunately for me, being involved in sports, and I still am, that it's a higher bar. And also my partner, Mark Berg, made To Me, which is one of, if not the best sports movies ever. He made Bull Durham.
Oh, yeah, one of the best.
And so for me, I always look at, we always look at scripts. I'm like, well, that'll never be Bull Durham.
You think there are higher expectations on sports movies?
I think I do. I've been involved with the National Hockey League now for 7 years. I used to own the Tampa Bay Lightning. So for me, I think I look at sports movies a little differently.
Sure.
Oren, what would you say to get the people to go back and revisit Saw? And for those people who haven't seen Saw on the big screen, because it's out in 2,063 screens.
And last night was so much fun. It's an amazing. I'm not just trying to sell it. It's a fun experience. You forget the way people react when certain things happen in that movie, because everything for us was happening so fast, and then the next thing you know, it was in theaters, out of theaters, and the movie really took off in video. Saw was one of the unique movies where there's 2 really unique things with Saw, and I'll tell you really quickly because I know you guys are film buffs. The first one is Saw was one of the few movies where the video is a wide release. The video outpaced, our video numbers were bigger than the domestic box office numbers, which is not really usually the case. The second interesting thing for film buffs is Saw, the weekend it opened up, is the only weekend ever in the history of the box office that was a different winner on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. Friday night was the second week of The Grudge. The Saturday was Ray, and we won Sunday night. And a lot of that we attribute to word of mouth. By Sunday, people were starting to dig our movie. And a lot of people didn't see it in the theaters, though, even though we did, I think, $55 million. But over the summer, we had so many people come to us over the summer while we were making two, just in restaurants and different things, saying, I saw your movie on pay-per-view, or I saw your movie in a hotel, or I saw your movie on video, and oh my gosh. So we knew, that's why I think when Saw 2, I think we did 85 or 90 on that one, I don't even know, but we weren't surprised only because we had so many people come up to us that hadn't seen it in the theaters that were excited about the next one.
Oren, one of the interesting things that I've noticed about with Saw is that it's one of those films that it's not compromised by watching it on video. So many films, you have to see them on the big screen or it just loses something in the translation. Saw doesn't. How do you explain that?
No money. What I mean is that we use story. We don't have any effects. We did a couple effects because when we did the seventh one in 3D, but for the most part, what you see is what you get. I went to I had to drive over the hill to go see. I think they were in receipt of the MPAA because they were convinced in Saw 1 that we cut off Cary Elwes or did something with Cary Elwes' foot. And what I realized is that, first of all, the score by Charlie Clouser was so amazing, and it was just boom, just these loud pulsing noise, and there was lights flashing, and he was cutting, and Lee Whannell was screaming, and they were convinced that a foot fell off. Wow. So we had to literally, I sat with them, and they gave a scope, frame by frame, and we had about a $10, fake hacksaw blade with a bloodline behind it, and that's all it was. And they were convinced that we cut off his legs.
Hey, Oren, real quickly before we let you go, what do you guys got? What do you got coming up? What are you working on?
I'm only working on one thing, and that's one thing only. And we really are trying. We're going to see. As I said before, the reason we think Saw is successful is because of story, and we're really working on story. We got the great news is for us is that James and Lee have both had such great success in Insidious, in Conjuring, and James is almost not quite, but almost finished with Fast and Furious 7. So for us, we're kind of all hanging out and starting to talk. We'd really like to come to Comic-Con in the summer of 16 if we can get ready in time with Saw 8.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. We look forward to that.
We're trying. We're not there, but we are absolutely trying.
Well, Oren, thank you. I appreciate you calling in. The next time we got to have you come because I knew you had a late night last night, so you're excused.
No, late night, and I've already gone through a full Halloween parade this morning with the kids. So.
Oh, cute.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your success.
I appreciate you calling.
Full parade. So the whole lower school was on parade, and I saw every single, seen about 200 costumes this morning.
Did you dress up, Oren?
I am tonight. My daughter and her best friend are going as boxers, and her father and her friend and I, our friend's father and I, are going as the boxing trainers and the cut men. We got the Q-tips, we got the cream to stop the cut, we have the
Vaseline,
smoother. So we're going to be the cut men.
Perfect.
Oren, thank you. I appreciate you calling in. You'll see me stopping by your office pretty soon too.
Okay, well, I hope people enjoy the movie.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Oren.
Congratulations. Thanks, Oren.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I want to know what he's going to do for the 25th anniversary now.
It'd be interesting.
Maybe actually cut off Cary Elwes' leg.
By then, maybe the MPAA will allow it.
I was thinking, like if in that situation, if the MPAA is so convinced that you actually dismembered an actor, can't you just bring the actor with you to that meeting
and show them that they're clearly standing?
Yeah.
Well, they're like the Wizard of Oz. You can't go see them, so.
Right. Well, but why don't we just, before we get back to couple more tidbits on Nightcrawler. Let's talk about something I'm very proud of.
Look at Ned just had this great smile on his face.
Yes.
Turned a little red.
Yeah, it happens.
Our latest project, I will let Ned talk about it. It is custom made for Halloween.
Yes, for today, actually.
Today only.
Today only, being Halloween. I'm very proud to be part of this big, massive project called Fun Size Horror, which has been going on all week across the internet. Which is 31 horror films, short horror films, like 2 to 3 minutes each, and it's sort of an online trick-or-treating thing where you go from site to site, and each day there's across 5 sites. Each day there's 5 different films, and they're only available for one day. And it's been going on all week, and it culminates today on Halloween. And I have one of the shorts, Bitter, that I wrote and directed, that Debbie produced.
Executive produced.
Which I just saw and I liked it. It's funny. Thank you. It's a horror comedy. It's more comedy than horror. But it's fun. We're making fun of the movie Thinner, which I feel like, that's a joke that's been a long time coming. So it's 3 gypsies who live together and deal with some roommate squabbles in ways that only gypsies with magical powers can. We shot it over the summer, and it's out today on badassdigest.com, and also the funsizehorror.com site has the list for all of them. You can watch it today on the internet, and then it disappears.
Wow. Is there a little calendar on there for it kind of says a synopsis of each little film?
Oh, yeah. On the site itself, across the top, it'll list each of the 5 sites that are hosting them and what film they have each day.
Great.
There have been some great ones. It's produced by these 2 lovely people, Zeke Pinheiro and Molly Elfman, who put this all together. And just
fun, interesting concept.
Yes. Some of the movies are actually like legitimately scary. Horror movies, some are more wacky and a little more humor oriented.
And how long do they last? It'll last until
today. End of today.
Oh, end of today. Okay, but was it all month or just
all week?
Just this week. Only for the week.
Concept.
Yeah.
But how long did it take to put this together? You guys?
I don't know how long it took Zeke to put the whole thing together, but I started working on mine around, I think they told me about it around April or May, and then we shot in July. So
you wrote, directed, and produced the whole thing? Or you wrote and directed? Okay.
It was an idea that I'd been kicking around for a while, and I previously made a horror comedy web series called Co-op of the Damned for My Damn Channel.
Again, about roommates.
Yes, it's a similar idea.
which is another venture of ours. Yes.
So when did it get to Debbie? And how did that happen?
Oh, that was anytime I have an idea and I know what I want to do and how much it'll cost, then I'd sort of say, "Excuse me, Debbie,
look at this."
Take a look at this
but isn't it nice to have that relationship like that? Have someone like that?
It's amazing. She's been sort of I'd say enabling me for years now.
And she knows the legal background of everything, which really helps.
Yes. She actually introduced me. She gave me my accountant.
See, she's good for something then, huh?
She's good for a lot of things.
Aww.
Wait a minute. Is it on your site too?
No, it didn't launch on my site. It's only running on certain sites. I've been promoting it on my site. There have been news blurbs about it. But yeah, since it's only for one day, I may go and embed the direct code, but I don't know.
So for those people who may miss it, where's it going to go afterwards?
There will be
because it's worth seeing. I liked it.
Oh, thank you. I would argue, and the rest of the films are also there's some fantastic stuff in there.
I've seen some of the others, and they are good. I don't think they're as funny as ours, but
some of them aren't supposed to be funny.
I know.
But there's going to be some form of VOD release for the whole thing that's in the works. More news to come on that, but you will be able to get all 31 of them together at some point.
Would you pitch anything like that at like Screamfest or any of these horror festivals?
I think it could go over very well at a festival. We actually, a group of us, 5 of the directors, went up last month to the Big Bear International Film Festival and did a panel where we talked about genre filmmaking and all sorts of things, and showed. That's what we debuted the trailer for the series there, but we didn't get to show any of the actual shorts yet because it was
great.
Save them for Halloween.
Now I have to say, reading all of Ned's work and everything that he submits, and the minute he emailed it to me, I read it within 15 minutes. I was like, yes, we got to do this. Let's do it. It's a very short. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of visuals and some great effects in there.
I like the effects, what I saw.
And, being more roommates from hell, we seem to have that theory that theme going on
everyone can relate to that.
In our projects.
It's a good source for comedy.
But no, this is actually the first script where I didn't come back to him and say, yeah, well, let me go through it, and I think we need to change this, and let me do a pass on the dialogue and change some stuff. No, this was like, I love it.
Talk about the actors you have in there.
Oh, some fantastic. I basically sort of I get these ideas in my mind of like incredibly talented, funny people that I know that I want to see on screen. Well, maybe next time.
I'd love to. I'd love to work with you, Ned.
We'll see what comes up next. There's Kimmy Gatewood, who is an actress and comedian. She's on Conan a lot. She was in Jersey Boys, the Clint Eastwood movie. She's delightful and funny. She was in Co-op of the Damned, and there's any chance I get to work with Kimmy, I want to do that because she's just awesome. And then there's a comedian named Damian Marlena, who I love dearly, who also has this amazing comedic presence that I've been wanting to capture on film since I met her. And then my other gypsy is a comedian named H. Alan Scott, who he and I have done a number of projects together. And he is also I know a lot of comedians, and I sit around in awe of how entertaining and funny they are, and just was like, well, if I can just latch onto some of that for a little bit.
Oh, so I had assumed there were 3 women gypsies, so it's one man and two women.
All the gypsy names are female. We just sort of cast Alan as one of them without really saying anything about it.
Sure.
There's a few jokes in there that go by really quickly, but
funny is funny.
Yes,
it doesn't matter. You get the best person for the job,
and it definitely worked. I like those 3 characters in that.
Yeah, there's I figure they all have different personalities and energies, and I think the 3 of them work well together. And then there's a couple cameos by 2 of my long-running. I feel like I'm developing like a troupe of actors, but there's a cameo at the end by one of my favorite actors, is Paul Telfer, who was one of the big stars of Bunker, the short film we did, and who was also in Co-op of the Damned as Zombie Bill.
Yes.
And this, I won't say what he plays in this. You just have to watch it. But people who are fond of him not having his shirt on will be pleased.
They'll be very happy.
And again, where can we see it again?
It's on badassdigest.com today only, or it's around Facebook. If you go to funsizehorror.com, also you can find out about it.
Do you have a Twitter account as well on that?
I do. My Twitter account is Nedrick.
Nedrick. Nedrick.
That's correct.
Okay.
I like that. And with that, we're going to go to our phone lines again. This should be Steve Rafferty from Dunkin' Donuts. Is it Steve?
Yeah. Hey, Brian. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. Steve is Senior Director of Franchising of my favorite Dunkin' Donuts.
Anybody from the East Coast, it's the best coffee.
You have Ned here. You have Debbie Lynn Elias from moviesharkdeblur.com, and you have Ann McDaniels. Ann is drinking Starbucks. So
there wasn't a Dunkin' Donuts
we gotta
in this
change
area.
that,
Steve, I have Dunkin' Donuts in my freezer.
Let's ask Ann to clear the studio, and then we can get started.
I will. No, but I had the pumpkin spice this morning out of my freezer that I bought at the store, the Dunkin' Donuts kind.
Hey, what do you guys got?
All right, soon we're going to make it more convenient for you.
Good.
I appreciate that.
Look forward to it.
What do you guys? What's going on with Dunkin' Donuts? Because I've been wanting to get you guys for the longest time. Because being from Connecticut, I grew up on that. I worked there. I really like Dunkin' Donuts a lot.
Oh, you work there too? Great. That's terrific, Brian. So yeah, we've had great success in bringing our brand to California. We've opened our first 3 traditional stores there just within the last 6 weeks, I guess I'll say. One up in Modesto, one closer to you guys in Santa Monica, and another one in Downey, California, with a couple more on the way. So, it's taken us a while to get there, but we're seeing great results early, and, our guests are very happy and saying some of the same things you guys are saying about how happy they are to see us there.
What took so long? What was going on? What are the changes that happened to make it happen now?
Well, we've been a really strong brand, as you know, Brian. As you mentioned, you grew up with us here in the Northeast, and more than 60 years old, and our guests sort of love us. We're a really important part of their day every day, right? A lot of people got their pumpkin latte from Dunkin' this morning, but we've been working really hard over the last couple of years to grow the brand outside of the Northeast, and we've been pretty intentional about growing market by market, to make sure we get everything right. Our menu's changed since you grew up with us. We've got not just our great coffee and donuts that people know us for, but breakfast sandwiches and other frozen drinks, iced teas, culotta beverages, and, it's a much broader menu. But, what makes us ready to be in California now is that we've got the right supply chain in place. We've got great franchisees that are partnering with us. The right location is really important, and we know we're the last ones in there in California, so we're being really careful about, where we locate these restaurants. So we're excited to be there, and I guess that's why it took us so long. We want to get it right.
Steve, how important is it to find the right franchisees? Because we see this with so many restaurant chains and fast food that are all franchised. They become a flash in the pan, and they go, and one poor franchisee can ruin an entire name of a chain.
Yeah, well, we think we're pretty good at that. Our whole system, we've got about 8,000 restaurants across the country, and only 3 in California, right? So we've got a lot of room to grow. But very nearly all of those are owned and operated by franchisees, right? So we're sort of an affiliation of a lot of small businesses across the country and even across the world. But so it's something we're pretty good at. It is critical that we have the right franchisees. You know, they're responsible for the day-to-day operations. They're responsible for, you know, finding the right location, hiring the team, you know, that's going to run the restaurant. So our franchisees are everything to us, and they do a great job.
So we were talking about movies today, and you were talking about what were you getting at Dunkin' Donuts today? The drink?
Pumpkin latte.
Okay. Would you drink that?
I have pumpkin spice in my freezer, which I put in my Keurig every day. It's delicious.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And Steve, do you have
a lot of, you know, even though we only have those 3 traditional restaurants, we sell a lot of coffee and grocery stores and certainly cake.
And you've done very well retail-wise. I'm just wondering, the reason I went to Starbucks this morning is because I'm a gold member. Now, do you have a really good rewards program within Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, we do. We have a mobile app, of course, and we have our rewards program is called Perks, right? Get it? You know,
sure.
Coffee and
Coffee Perks.
Perks. So it's you know, like a frequent flyer program, right? So for each purchase, you get some credit, and after a couple of purchases, you get a free cup of coffee on your next visit. And
perfect.
You know, our guests are telling us they love it.
Great.
In fact, we've done a recent promotion out there. We're introducing a new product on Monday, the croissant donut, right? And so, in the Downey location, in honor of our Perks member Joanne Tolan, right, who loves our brand and she happens to live in Downey, we're giving away 500 free croissant donuts starting at 7 o'clock to the first folks that come in.
Great.
Hey, where in Whittier are you going to open the store, and when? Can you say?
You know what? We haven't announced the date yet, but it'll be before the end of the year.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know the address.
But any plans to go into Hollywood area?
You'll know because you'll see people lined up outside.
Okay.
Exactly.
How about Steve, Hollywood area? Santa Monica, I love, but it's 10 miles away and it takes 2 hours to get there. Anything in Hollywood that you're planning?
Steve, she's foaming at the mouth.
I am. I love it light and sweet.
What's that?
No, I said, so no, if you could finish, any plans for Hollywood area?
I don't know the specific plans for Hollywood. I know that our franchisee that just opened in Santa Monica is also looking in Hollywood, and I don't know that we found a location there yet.
Okay.
Well, all I know is every time I fly into Philly, I know exactly where I can find every Dunkin' Donuts place I need between Plymouth Meeting and the Philadelphia airport.
And Steve, JFK, the minute I land in New York City, I'm heading straight to the Dunkin' Donuts kiosk and baggage claim.
And I do the same thing. As soon as I get that landed, I can't wait. I have to have that coffee, and I have to have my oh my God, I have to have my jelly donut.
Yes.
I have to have 2. Before I leave, because I never know when I'm going to have it again.
And the Boston cream.
Right. Well, like I said, we're going to try to make it a whole lot more convenient for you.
Thank you.
We've got great franchisees lined up to build a whole lot more than just the 3 we've opened. The 2 more will open by the end of the year. So
wonderful. Well, in the meantime, I always buy your retail.
Hey, I appreciate that, Steve. I appreciate that. You were saying
sorry,
something.
Brian, I lost you there.
I said I appreciate that, and I also want to see about, instead of having this thing that she's got over there, I want to have some Dunkin' Donuts and some coffee here in the studio. You can make that happen, can't you?
You know, I imagine we could. There's a K-Cup technology. There's coffee by the pound, and that grocery. I imagine that can happen for us.
Okay, I'm putting into that.
Every Friday, Steve.
Man.
Hey,
we're loyal.
We're coffee. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, why don't I open one in Whittier, and I'll give you directions to that store, and you can have one every day.
See, I think that's a much better idea.
Okay, before we let you get out of here, what's some of your favorite movies or TV shows?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure you hear this a lot, right? I like some of the old classics like, Goodfellas or, epics like The Godfather or Apocalypse Now. But I guess, more recently I'm a Boston guy. I like The Town with Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner.
Okay, good.
Kind of twisted, kind of dark.
Yep.
I like The Departed with Jack Nicholson. Same reason. It's got crime. I'm Irish. It's got Boston. All those things that I look for in a movie.
Then he would like The Nightcrawler, then, wouldn't he?
I think that Steve would definitely like Nightcrawler.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Is that a new one?
It just opened today with Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo.
Very dark.
It is dark. It is twisted. It's a wonderful take on the underbelly of the local news business.
There you go. That's right up my alley. I'm looking for the underbelly.
And I think there is a scene in there that might be a donut shop, but it's not a Dunkin' Donuts.
We missed the boat.
I'll tell you.
Steve Rafferty, Senior Director of Franchising for Dunkin' Donuts, thank you. I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, sure thing. Happy to do it. Thanks for your interest in our brand, and we'll let you know where the Whittier location is going to be, and I hope we'll see you there when we open.
Okay.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Steve.
that.
Great.
Thanks, Steve. This is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. We'll be right back. And we have 2 more sound bites coming up with Nightcrawler. This is Movie Reviews and More. We are back, and we were just talking to Steve Rafferty, Senior Director of Franchising for Dunkin' Donuts, and we suggested that he go see Nightcrawler. And with that,
I'm suggesting everybody go see Nightcrawler.
Yes.
And, we heard earlier from, my interview with Renee Russo talking about the film. We've also got, she also talked about, because Dan Gilroy is writer-director and it is her husband, and you heard her speak earlier about she couldn't wrap her head around the character and wanted him to rewrite it, and it's like, no, he's not doing that. So, here's what else she had to say about the film as a whole, the character of Lou Bloom, which is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and what her husband Dan, writer-director, found interesting about the project.
And I know that was interesting to Danny. He didn't want to say Lou is a sociopath because he realized that the conversation would stop there. It's like, okay, he may be, but he's also desperate for a job like all of us are, and so he kind of wanted to say, well, what would you do? What lines would you cross if you needed a job? I mean, what lines are we all crossing? And I would have to say CEOs of companies that raid people's pension funds is Lou any worse, really, when you think about it? So I didn't want to judge Nina or really the movie in that way. I just kind of wanted to lay it out there as we're humans. And
of course, watching Jake Gyllenhaal in this, you got to wonder, is he really human? He's that terrifying. He is that terrifying. And that, which is a testament to him as an actor. And I could very easily see him as a name, and it's already being bandied about as potential Best Actor nominee. Yeah. I don't think he would win. No offense to Jake, because this is a great performance. But I definitely think he's one of the major players to get a nomination for Best Actor.
Good for him.
For Academy Awards.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But, digging into this character, because once you see him on screen, you will see that dramatic weight loss. You will see this intensity, this stilted persona, so to speak. Very OCDC, and it's frightening.
So you see him lose weight in the film. You see
he lost all of this before.
30 pounds, right?
And because we're so used to seeing Jake in the public and buff and worked out, you see him here, and you're like, has anorexia overtaken him or something?
Wow. This is a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's just
Sure. At first blush, but for his eyes, he is unrecognizable.
Wow.
So I got to ask Jake about this incredible performance and what he had to do to achieve it, because it certainly couldn't have been easy to get into the headspace of Lou Bloom.
Not easy in the movie sense of easy. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I always like to separate the two, like life easy and then movie easy, and life hard and movie hard. Mm-hmm. But no, it wasn't easy in that sense. It was it was a lot of preparation, but it was also great. They were great words. I mean, just great dialogue that was written on the page, and I said to the T, punctuation exactly, memorized it like a play. Spent hours upon hours walking down the streets. I remember, early on, 4 months before, walking down the streets in New York City, running the lines, trying to get them, getting 3 lines at a time. Taking a run on the West Side Highway and being like, "Excuse me, sir, I'm looking for a job. In fact, I made my mind kind of clear. I'm going to my mind to work." I said, what? You know what I mean? For months. So there's that. And then it was just something that started to feed into my soul a little bit and into my bones, and the way he talked, the first line he has is like, I'm under the opinion that this was a detour. Like, nobody talks like that, and those sort of word choices became part of me. And I just started losing weight, and I started working with Dan, and we started rehearsing with everybody, and he just sort of grew up out of the earth.
Yeah, I mean, it's watching this, I think disturbingly addictive is a good description.
Why
for
was he
Nightcrawler.
so gaunt? Did that kind of represent he was like a night owl and never slept and sort of...
Because the film celebrates the nocturnal subculture.
Okay.
Because Nightcrawlers, it's a nomenclature given to the reporters and things that are out, the ambulance chasers.
Mm-hmm.
See, not just lawyers are ambulance chasers. There are news people that are ambulance chasers too. So... it's that whole connotation, because you're out there at night digging up the dirt, and in news and television, it's for that early morning show.
So he's kind of almost zombie-like, always tired and very gaunt. And
It's to the extreme of, I don't know, how would you describe it, Ned? Especially with that demeanor he has with the stilting.
It's also just in the way he talks, like, as he mentioned. It's all very. It's almost like a malevolent Rain Man.
Yeah.
Because
he has that very Dustin Hoffman Rain Man quality.
Sure.
Yeah. It's like everything he's saying is rote memorization.
Okay.
Like the way this character goes home and studies things.
Does he have a ton of monologue in the movie? So
there's a lot of monologue
and a lot of voiceover. Is he thinking a lot aloud?
No. But
okay.
it almost feels like he's sort of internalized a lot of like Tony Robbins self-help stuff and used it for evil, but the way that it comes out of his mouth is it's very much sort of regurgitating these platitudes that he's heard, but sort of mangled in a very malignant way.
Okay. Wow.
And since you were the weather girl,
yes,
talk about that experience of doing it.
Oh, it was a really fun experience. I just went to I think I shot it at CBS Radford, right in the news station, and I got kind of trained on the green screen by two actual weathermen at the station, and we're at a point and everything's kind of opposite, and you can't look. You can only look to the side. You can't actually even look at the green screen, which I hadn't known, and I would just go on. And I grew up in the Midwest, so I'm very familiar with weather. I'm a storm chaser actually, so I love tornadoes, and I went off on like all the storms happening and the earthquakes, and they couldn't hear me. I was just going nuts on voiceover, and they were laughing. I mean, I had like aliens landing everywhere. I just had a really fun time with it, and then I shot there for a full day by myself, and then again I've been approached for interviews working with Jake, and I have to say, although I would love to, I didn't work with Jake per se. As we all know in this business, sometimes the actor's on another set at the same time, even though you're shooting a movie. But I'm happy, thank you, Ned and Debbie, for telling me that I didn't make the cutting room floor, because yay, because I'm actually on IMDb as the weather girl, and then it looks like a lie if you're not.
No, trust me, she is the weather girl.
Thank you.
So, and she's not on the cutting room floor.
Right.
Well, okay, maybe, but we won't go there.
I'm like the bubble-headed, bleached blonde weather girl from Don Henley. that song.
Yes.
Kick 'em while you're up. Kick 'em.
And all right, real quickly, talk about what you did this past week.
Oh, let's see. Well, thank you. So, Brian so nicely invited me to go to Soho House last night for the screening of 2 Days and One Night, starring Marion Cotillard, which was amazing, and we may be interviewing her next Friday. And je parle français, so I look forward to maybe speaking French with her. This weekend, I'm really excited. I'm actually performing at Agua Caliente in Palm Springs tonight as a zombie girl. So I've got all the outfits. I have a ton of errands to go, and then I have to get it to Palm Springs. And Saturday, I'm actually performing as one of the Bond girls, the girl from Goldfinger, the gambler.
Oh.
So I have 3 hours of makeup before I go in. And then Sunday, I'm working with Kato Kalin. I worked with him last week, co-anchoring with him at KTLA. That was another. Oh yeah, KTLA was last week. We did the Halloween.
That was your Halloween costume morning.
Yeah, for Roma Costumes. I love Roma Costumes. If anybody needs a last-minute costume, go to Roma. And
you interviewed Cynthia Harrison.
The
Silver Tsunami.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thanks to Brian again. We went up to Cynthia Harrison's house in Encino. Just a beautiful. You stayed for lunch, Brian, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Just a beautiful spread. We actually had the interview in her home theater, which is about the size of this place. It was beautiful. And we also spoke with a woman who works in geriatrics, and she's a home health care aide, Stephanie. And just so interesting. Silver Tsunami represents the aging population in the world and what's happening. And what I got from it is these these people who are much older. It's like people don't pay attention to them. They're just they have young brains. They're just inside older bodies, and just having a meal with them or acknowledging their presence, and then can they work and not just playing silly games, but really talking to them and challenging them. So it's a big influx of what's happening. So Silver Tsunami.
And you've been very, very busy, obviously.
Yeah, it's a little insane. That's why I'm drinking the Starbucks. But Dunkin' Donuts, please. I would rather be drinking Dunkin' Donuts, light and sweet. Thank you.
Starbucks is going to cancel your membership.
Oh no, I'm still a Gold member. I'm actually hyper, and coffee calms me down, which is actually the opposite effect. Does that make sense to anybody?
Because you're so hyper that the coffee can't compete.
Exactly. That's probably what it is. But it actually calms me down. I drink it at night.
And Ned, quickly, what do you got coming up?
What do I have coming up? Well, we're gonna.
He's looking at Debbie.
Well, Bunker, the short film that I made that Debbie executive produced as well. Our sci-fi comedy. I'm getting my genres mixed up.
Yes.
We just wrapped up our summer festival tour. We went to Comic-Con and Dragon Con and London and all over the place. And it was a fantastic trip, but it will be available soon, any day now, by the end of the year, on DirecTV, on their Shorts HD channel.
Good.
Yep.
And then soon after that, it will be available for purchase and download and stream and everything.
And all that other stuff.
iTunes and Amazon.
Good for you.
And talk about Trevor when he was last here, because what happened with him?
Oh, well, since Trevor came here, talked about his marvelous documentary, 1 in a Million, and went on to win the Filmmaker in History Award at Laughlin.
Great.
Yeah.
So, and he'll be back at some point and bring his award for us to fondle.
That'd be nice to see. Debbie, what do you got coming up real quick?
You name it. I got busy week. We got AFI coming up. We've got the awards films are starting. It's
everything. Reward season. That's what I call it.
Hey.
All right. So for Ned and Debbie, this is Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More. We'll see you next week. And
Big Hero 6.
Yes, exactly. Your exclusives on that, right?
Yep.
We'll see you later.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you very much.